All right. So first off, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Jason Johnson, Superintendent of Hermosa Schools, Special School District in the South Bay. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. We are broadcasting live, so I want to also thank people that are joining us this evening as well too on the broadcast. I want to give a shout out to Hannah Ford and her team who are providing childcare for our families tonight as well too. So find that convenient. We'll continue to do that. I want to start off by acknowledging our dignitaries that are here. First off, save your polite applause to the end. I'm gonna rattle off this list. So Jessalyn Waldron, she's here on behalf of Supervisor Holly J. Mitchell. I have my board members here, Maggie, Quinton, and Doug, our board president. Thank you for being in the house. And then, of course, the city of Hermosa Beach always shows up large and proud. I have Chief LeBaron, I got Suja Lowenthal, city manager, our great mayor, Justin Massey, Mayor Pro Tem, Dean Francois, and then council members Mike DeToy and Rob Saman. Thank you all for being here tonight. And Beach City's Health District, the board president showed up. Vanessa Poster, thank you for coming tonight. Really appreciate that. Emery Chen in the house. And Jessica Akamoto, if you're watching, just texted me and said that she got caught up and couldn't make it, but she really made a strong effort to be here. So thank you, Jessica. We love you. And I'd like to acknowledge Arcelia and John Crenshaw, who just walked in. They are the parents of Alyssa Crenshaw, one of our TK speakers tonight. So thanks for being here as well, too. Sorry to call you out. All right. So tonight we are here to talk about the state of schools. And in short, the state of schools are great, so you can all go home. We are so proud of our Hermosa schools, and we are tiny but very, very mighty. And tonight I want to talk about the focus on early childhood education and where we're headed as a school district. But it begins, though, with the people that are just in this room. And I want to thank, all the people that make it go, from the city to Beach City's Health District, to our board, to our teachers and staff. This very much is a collective effort. Our district has been doing this for a very long time because a few people come together in order to make something special. And I'm going to share a little bit about that with you tonight. So first up, I'm going to invite the great Doug Gardner, board president. He's going to talk to you about the state of schools.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, he's embarrassing all of us. And the children in the room who don't look like that quite anymore, as she squints back there. But yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you to those who are watching on the live stream. As Dr. Johnson said, the state of schools is fantastic, great, awesome, terrific. Pick the adjective that you would like to use. And we're very, very proud of that. And it really comes down to the people in this room, the people at home, the people in the community. All throughout the 119 years, I think we were at, almost 120. We talked about 120, but we're 119 years, history of the Hermosa Beach City School District. Throughout that course of that history, people in this community come together to really do things that are extra special for this school. And that's continued through to this day. And, we're really focusing on early childhood education to really develop, our youngest learners and our youngest students and let them, their earliest steps and thrive K to life, as well as our new and young parents, who I see many of them in the room here today, to I'll be honest, cultivate that next generation of community leaders who are going to drive the next generation of this school district forward. So many of us in this room are, Jason said it, the old guard, and I'll admit it, we are the old guard as I look around and some of my fellow board members and other folks. And we're really looking to that next generation to be the new guard and to drive us forward and really, continue to build upon everything that this community has done over the last, 119 years. And this is a great first step, so thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of the school district and this community. It is truly a special place. So yeah, thank you.
So I really do feel that I could walk into any classroom and substitute teach. I mean, at least for a day, I think I have a fighting chance. You name the place, the time, I can do it. Except for TK in kindergarten. There is, I used to work in intervention, and so to me, I love middle school. I loved high school because I love it when kids are like, nah, I'm not going to do that. It's a whole different problem, though, when a kid looks at you and they're like, I'm not going to do that because I don't understand the words coming out of your mouth. So working with TK and K in early childhood education is special. It takes special individuals to do that work well. I truly feel that building that foundation for students makes a huge difference. And it's not just my feeling, research says so. And to me, I'm happy to just be part of it and be a goofball and a mask that doesn't fit my big face. But I do have the opportunity to see great people in our schools do great things with our youngest learners. And that has inspired me, our board, and our community to take substantial and many first steps towards having the finest early childhood education program in the South Bay, and I would argue also Southern California. Let's talk about it. So, early childhood education. The research is in, and even the governor in the state of California have doubled down that putting our children in school earlier makes for better results. It makes for better results for their social development, for their academic development, and I'll take it a step further. So research shows that in longitudinal studies that children who went to preschool in the state of California are more likely to be homeowners. It's also more likely to directly impact your income, and households where they attended preschool, in comparison to households where they did not attend preschool, the difference of income in that household is $2,000 per month. These are practical considerations when it comes to early childhood education. And if you think about it, it makes sense. School is a system which helps individuals develop beyond their household. It helps make people independent. It helps our kids make those special connections and develop the skills needed to thrive in life. And the earlier you can get them in that game, the better. Why Hermosa? Why early childhood education in Hermosa? So flashback 4 years ago, in the midst of COVID, Sylvia Gluck and I came together during the summer and we're like, okay, we need to get kids in school, and we're not allowed to. What do we do? And we quickly realized that there is a child care deficit in our city, which makes sense. It's a small town. There's only so many places. And then even if you branch out into the beach cities itself, and into the South Bay, child care is very competitive. There is a wait list, extremely long, to get your children in programs, and then they're costly. Having the best care for your youngest children is a competitive and expensive endeavor. And Sylvia Gluck said, well, I've been wanting to get preschool here since, and then she set a date that I realized that I might have still been in kindergarten when she popped that. So we moved forward 4 years ago, and to Sylvia's credit, to the Board of Education, not only have we established a preschool for the first time in Hermosa's history, we've also expanded out transitional kindergarten, and we are ahead of the curve in the South Bay by continuing to expand that to the earliest ages possible that's allowed by the state. And our parents needed it. They showed up in a big way. We went from 4 years ago, a half TK class, to today we have 4 TK classes, and transitional kindergarten is very much its own grade level. Finally, why is early childhood education important? I want to say it's important to me because I have young kids. And when I think about what I want for them, I think about that in my daily work. And so it helps. And I'm sitting here looking at my administrators. They all have young kids too. And our board members, they all have young kids also. Well, not Quentin, but he has kids. So to me, I mean, like the people that run your school district, that care for your kids, we're right there beside you. We're looking for early childhood education also. And we know its importance, and we feel like true partners because we're in the trenches with you as well also, because we want the best for our kids and your kids. So as much as I love the microphone, I do have other people speaking tonight. And I'd like to bring up Hannah Ford, our new preschool director, who is hitting it out of the park to talk about the importance of preschool education and her own personal experience. Hannah?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Hannah Ford. I am our Hermosa Beach preschool director. I began my career as a preschool teacher 8 years ago. My first year of teaching, I remember that feeling of excitement and fear and everything in between. The excitement for the many possibilities to come, but also the fear of making a mistake. My classroom was filled with very curious 4-year-olds. We had just gotten back from Thanksgiving break, and the students were sharing the many adventures they went on. And one of the students asked with bright eyes, "Miss Hannah, what did you do over break?" And I shared with my class that I actually went skydiving with a friend of mine. There was complete silence, followed with gasps. The room was exploding with giggles and questions, and they simply could not believe that their teacher had jumped out of an airplane just a few days prior. They were so excited, so I shared a video with them of my skydiving experience. Needless to say, they thought it was the coolest thing ever. Weeks go by, and I receive an email in my inbox titled "skydiving" in all caps. And I immediately panic. Did I upset the parents? To my surprise, it was a video of one of my students retelling my story to his parents. He was expressively acting out every detail of my trip. I learned something that day that has really stuck with me over the years, other than the fact that kids really hold on to everything that you say. But I realized the importance of connection at this age. This is the time when children learn critical social emotional skills, and a partnership is formed between the child, their parents, and the teacher. To a bystander, it may seem little, but those little moments make a huge impact in these children's lives, and it starts with early childhood education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannah. Early childhood education in Hermosa is a commitment, and it's been a commitment by the community. And this Hermosa community has been paying forward the success of future generations. And I want to start by talking about that with Measure S and something that Doug mentioned, where Doug's kids are on the verge of graduating. I mean, like they are at the end. His kids are both at Hermosa Valley now. The beneficiaries of Measure S in these beautiful facilities that we're in at Hermosa Vista and at Hermosa View, many of them were not here when Measure S was passed. And therefore, our community, worked hard and fought and passed a bond that is now benefiting our youngest families who were not part of that effort. Now, your property taxes are part of that effort, but that, to me, is the beauty of Hermosa Beach, because the same thing happened under Measure J, which was passed in 2002, and the facilities at Hermosa Valley, such as the gym, the library, and the science rooms, were passed by a generation removed as well, too. And each community continues to pay it forward. And to highlight here at Measure S, the facilities that were built, such as the kindergarten classrooms, those facilities that are compliant with the requirements for transitional kindergarten were built before the state actually passed the law that expanded transitional kindergarten. So one of the reasons that we've been able to offer access to the earliest learners is because of the efforts of Measure S that foresaw the continued expansion of Hermosa schools for its earliest learners, and you are the beneficiaries of that. Our work is not over. There are future facility improvements that are needed, and if you think about it, 2002 to 2016, and we are on the verge of 2024. Each decade, in order to stay at the most modern and having the most advanced technology and the most quality facilities for our students, requires that investment of the community, paying it forward to each successive generation. And Hermosa is on the verge of its 120-year anniversary. This has been going on for multiple generations. I tell people, Hermosa Beach City School District should not exist. It is incredibly small, but the people who believe in it are the participants. And I always say too, when everyone suggests, oh, why don't you guys, Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach? I'm like, tell that to a Hermosa parent and watch the claws come out. I'd next like to invite up one of our phenomenal new TK teachers, Alyssa Crenshaw, who's going to talk about her personal experience in transitional kindergarten.
I'm a little short, so I'm going to pull this down just a little bit. Good thing that I work with little kids, right? Hi, my name is Alyssa Crenshaw. I am a TK teacher here at Hermosa View. I grew up here in the South Bay. I went to a surrounding district, K through 12, and I am very excited to be here at Hermosa View and as a TK teacher. I started my teaching career in early age. I always have loved working with kids. I've just always been drawn to them. So I knew when I got into college, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And the fact that I got the opportunity and the privilege to major in early childhood was something that I've always dreamed to do. So being a TK teacher has always been a dream. Here at Hermosa View, having TK is a great thing to have, especially for your little ones. Enrolling your kids in TK and exposing them to early learning at such an early age is super important. And it's not, it's not just to get into school, but it's for your child to have those experiences. At such a young age, they're maybe used to being at home with their brother or their sister, or in my case, I was an only child. So I didn't have that experience with my siblings. So getting them in early, whether it's in preschool or whether it's in TK, it's allowing their brains to grow and learn. And as other people talked about, growing those social emotional skills is huge. And that's all of what TK is about. Yes, it's about your letters and your numbers and getting to know people, but seeing if they can work together. Can they collaborate? Can they problem solve? There's all these different things that they learn as a TK student that's going to help them grow and support them as they get into the upper grades. Exposing them to those environments, like I said. Like I was saying, I was one of those 4-year-olds. So I was one of those kids that should have actually been a TK student. My birthday is in October, and I was that 4-year-old going into kindergarten. And like my mother has told me many times, I was academically ready. I knew my letters and my numbers, but when it came to those social skills, I was not ready to embark on my educational journey with that. I had a hard time with certain things. And so TK would have been the best opportunity for me. And now as a TK teacher, it's great to see that there are these kids that have this opportunity to be in an environment where they have kids their same age and they're not being pushed in an upper grade. They have that opportunity to grow and to learn and to find all those different things that they need as a little kid. Like I was saying, TK is a great environment for them to learn those social emotional skills. As someone kind of talked about earlier, these kids are sponges, and that's something that a college professor actually told me. All these little kids are a little sponge. They literally soak up everything that we say. So if we can start it at an early age, imagine what they're going to be like in 18 years when they become an adult. So thank you guys so much for listening.
Thanks, Alyssa. And we don't leave it to chance either. We have hired some of the most talented people. We added more TK teachers and kindergarten teachers than the history of the district with the expansion of our early childhood programs. And we knew that we needed to get them the best tools as well. Another Sylvia special here, we adopted the Frog Street curriculum. There you see the frog and the Mrs. Frog. Do they have names?
Fanny.
Very good, Fanny. And the reason I highlight this is Frog Street is a curriculum for early childhood learners from preschool to TK. And it is a program that also relies on characters, interaction for social emotional development and skill-based. And it is quite the experience to walk in and to see Miss Crenshaw operating Fanny over there, along with our other host of characters. There's an owl. Isn't there an owl also? Yes. So to make it interactive. And that shows you too that our teachers, are not just coming in the classroom and teaching on a whiteboard. They are down on the carpet in circle time and literally performing to develop the skills of our youngest learners. Moving forward, we recognize that we also needed a phonics program to develop literacy for our students and making those connections, because you show me a successful student, I'll show you a successful reader. We very much in this district for the last 4 years, we believe in literacy. We have doubled down on things such as the Fontes and Pinello reading benchmark system and level literacy intervention to make sure that every reader is at grade level. But we recognize that as we serve earlier younger children, that we needed to develop phonics skills. So Foundations is a program that we've introduced at the K2 level and that we will expand up to 3rd grade for next year to continue to make sure that everyone has those skills. And then finally, social emotional literacy, the area that the district has won awards for the pivotal practice. We don't rest on our laurels. We continue to develop that, and we recognize too that at early childhood education, it's just as important. We don't assume our young babies are just fine. We have a wellness center here at Hermosa Vista where our counselor supports students and runs groups, as well as our curriculum Conscious Discipline, which is a program that helps develop explicit social emotional skills so students begin to articulate what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and also how they interact with others. Now, this is one I get very proud of. And her papa is here tonight as well too. So let's share a proud papa moment as well. That to me, it's important to show you the product, right? We told you about it. I got teachers up here that said, yeah, it's great. But at the end of the day, the students that leave Hermosa schools are our proudest achievement, and they literally do speak for themselves. I've had the great pleasure of knowing Kennedy, among many other students, come on up, Kennedy, who is a Maricosta student and an exceptional leader, and she's going to tell you about her Hermosa Schools experience.
Hi, I'm Kennedy. I went to Hermosa from kindergarten to 8th grade, and now I'm a sophomore at Maricosta. So, books are like people. If you read too much into them, you begin to delve into secrets and hidden themes that no one else has discovered. They allow for a range of creativity and a magical sensation when you finally understand a cluster of words. Sometimes people can read you like a book, but most of the time, they can't really read you. They're just looking at words that have been presented to their eyes. Reading seems like an easy task, but something we're taught where our youngest memories lived. One must be delicate as they're flipping through endless pages with a fragile cover so we don't wound the innocent paper, because books are like people. They feel, they hurt, they laugh, and they learn. And the ones who teach us how to read are really the most valuable. Elementary. Just imagine trying to deal with 30 kids who are under 10. I couldn't. Some kids are able to comprehend faster than others, and some may need to observe pictures and take notes, whereas some may be able to just sit in one place for hours on end, flipping mindlessly through pages. Every child learns differently, and this is coming from someone who's still a child herself. Teachers have to read their students to be able to identify how one can learn, and how some people may be excelling in certain subjects, and some others might just need a little bit of extra help. Personally, I was always a bit of a quicker learner, but I lacked when it came to reading comprehension. I was able to finish a book faster than anyone else, but I could not tell you what I had learned on the first page. Analyzing was my biggest enemy. And even though in kindergarten we were reading Dr. Seuss and Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, which seems so simple now, I was still having a really hard time. And one of the only things I can remember from kindergarten is my teacher, Miss Bussy, who was there for me throughout every page. She would sit me down on the purple section of our rainbow squared carpet and hold the book for me as I began to read aloud. Her compassion told me I was not stupid, because no child is, even when we feel like it. There are certain genres of books that not everybody can understand and not everybody likes, and children are kind of like that too. They don't know how to read because they've never really done it before. And students always want to be the best that they can, but they also need full support from everyone around them. The beauty of being able to learn in such a small place is having such a small number of peers within a class, allowing students to know their teachers on a way more personal level. I had a hatred for reading until Miss Gill found me the right books, and I was not able to complete my multiplication charts until Miss Novice told me how to show my work instead of it keeping it locked away, and being given a sense of freedom when I had Miss Bussy yet again in 3rd grade. And lastly, in 5th grade, I learned not only how to write, but how to speak and not feel like I'm going to throw up because of Miss Haruska. The teachers that give us power. And to Miss Patel, who I never had, but my brother loves, and now he even likes to read, and we're able to connect through books on a new level. Because I've struggled and you've struggled, and we've all had our ups and downs. But knowing that our teachers, or in your case, your child's teachers, are going to be able to be there for them no matter what, and for you. I attended Hermosa for 9 years, which is all the way from kindergarten to 8th grade. And even though there may have been a few negative reviews about teachers along the way, I can look back and always say that I loved being a Hermosa kid. The one place where I knew, no matter what, someone would have my back. This feeling of security throughout my childhood years is the reason I feel like I'm able to strive as a student. Books are a girl's best friend, but so are their teachers. And without being able to form strong connections from them, from a person who you spend 6 hours a day with, might be enough to leave you wanting to quit. And to slam pages shut and to toss books across your room, which is something that's going to happen plenty of times, but knowing that your teacher will always be there the next day to hand it back to you is the most comforting feeling in the world. And I know that while being at Hermosa, your children and teachers will be there forever. They will always be there to lean over your shoulder, to review every word that has been written down, an eraser in hand to help get rid of colors that might just be a little bit outside of the lines. But most importantly, they will never shun creativity. We are given access to write whatever stories might be coming about within our minds because a child's mind is a treasure that must be cherished. A gift we all receive, but only some are able to put it to its full potential. And those kids are from Hermosa. The books that flourish and thrive, no matter where they may be, because someone will always be there. All the way from kindergarten to forever, because Hermosa teachers refuse to let a page go unfinished. Thank you.
When I think about why we do what we do, I think about Kennedy Hasty. To me, what we do at Hermosa schools is beyond just reading, writing, and arithmetic. We are contributing to great leaders. These are the people that are going to inherit our community. And it is so incredibly important that we invest in them. They are our greatest investment. And I'm proud to work in a community that prioritizes that with its heart and with its pocketbook, because both matter to create great results. Hermosa Schools has a 120-year history. And because of you in this community, a little schoolhouse is the facility that you see tonight. And that takes an incredible amount of heart to bring about. The most important thing that I've learned in my time being here the last 4 years has actually come from talking to students like Kennedy. Me and Principal Bledsoe, we went to each of the high schools and conducted focus groups and asked them, hey, what did you like about Hermosa schools? What could we do better? But the thing that we learned the most was that they felt that their experience in Hermosa schools was truly unique. And when we thought about it, it is. It is one of the few places where you can begin preschool with a group of students and a group of families, and those will be the same friends, families, and community members that you will leave with at 8th grade. I come from Redondo as a school, and I attended PD schools, and that is incredibly unique. Most schools have larger feeder middle schools. The class that begins is the class they leave with, and those friendships that they created are truly lifelong friendships between community members and between students. It's something incredibly special, and it very much, this experience shapes those people who will go out and be leaders in our world. We take that responsibility incredibly serious, and it is a major commitment. Hermosa Beach Education Foundation helps to subsidize our schools and has done so for the last 35 years. That is a long time, but a group of people got together and recognized that state funding wasn't going to get it done in Hermosa Beach because they believed that their kids deserved better and needed more. And from music to STEAM programming to drama to yearbook to all the various programs that Hermosa Schools offers, those are committed dollars that come directly from the community, not the state. That's the level of commitment for Hermosa Schools, and that's why we are still thriving past the pandemic and are one of the highest performing schools in the South Bay. I'm going to switch gears because we were talking about investment in the future, but there is a practical side to things. And I want to take a brief detour and give a brief history of the Johnson family's greatest financial liability, their children. So, when Matilda was born, I realized that having kids is expensive. And it made me think about, when do I get off this train? How long do I have to pay for this person? And I started to realize the answers for a very long time because nothing in life is free, apparently. So let's talk about the Johnson family and how they've dealt with the expense of college. 1940, this is Earl Johnson, my grandfather, and in his life, nothing in life was free. This is actually him in World War II. He did not go to college. He couldn't afford it. He didn't even graduate from high school. And he went immediately from the service into a factory job, and his education was World War II and raising kids. Flash forward to the 60s, mostly nothing in life is free then. This is Mike Johnson, my father, at college age. He attended a JC, but since mostly nothing in life is free, he eventually got a job working at Hughes Markets, for those of you that have lived in the area for a while, which later became Rouse. He was a night crew guy. He didn't finish college, but his education was a little JC and then raising 4 children, including this brat. So this is me actually at college. And I will say some things in life were free. I did attend a JC, and I was a beneficiary that my parents let me live with them, God help them, for 3 years while I saved money in order to go to a University of Cal Berkeley. But I was able to work, save money, and with my parents' help. I was able to live rent-free, and that allowed me to save that amount of money. Now, flash forward to Matilda, my child. I will say a lot in life is free for this little one. And as much as I try to instill good values in her, let's be honest. This kid has no concept of money. It makes me think, man, this kid's going to be riding me all day long. And then she's already started. I mean, because let's be real, college will not be free. And I'm starting to feel like Jason Johnson's going to be footing the bill. So my daughter continues to take me for everything I'm worth, including this hand here, which I thought I could beat her with an ace high, and she had a pair of queens. And we really, as parents, need to think about the expense of college and how we're setting up our children for the future. For those that are viewing, are tuning in, for those in the room with younger kids or older kids, I mean, like, we're going to be on the hook for some cash here when it comes to college, and college is getting incredibly expensive. Now, for those folks that are like, well, college, I don't know if it's for everybody. I agree with you. And we could talk about that conversation all day long. I'm a product of a junior college, El Camino College, go Warriors. But at the end of the day, for probably most of our students in Hermosa schools, our kids are going to go to college. And somebody's going to have to pay for it. And so we need to start thinking now about what that is. Because otherwise, our students, our children will be saddled with debt that they will not be able to get out from underneath because of the cost of college. Tonight, I'd like to invite Frank Reichart? Rayhout, yeah. From Connecta. We have a great relationship with Connecta, who have supported us and partnered with us for many, many years. And he's going to talk to you, our youngest families, about 529 plans and why they are a very important vehicle that you should get involved in now to save for the future. Now, you could use Connecta, don't use Connecta. My recommendation to you, though, is consider saving for college now, and a 529 is the way to do it. Frank, take it away.
Thank you, Jason. And I will tell you that you will always pay for your kids. Mine just got married a week and a half ago, and I'm still paying for it. But you saw that picture up there of me in the pirate hat, and I always like to tell the story because we won the championship that year, and I love that hat, and I cannot find them anywhere, but it was so much fun, and I wonder where from that it became that, because I don't know how that happened. I'm longing for those days where it was all one color and a lot longer. But Jason nailed it. When you talk about 529 plans, you have to think early. So we'll get through some of these disclosures, but the great John Wooden says that failing to plan is planning to fail. And you have to plan for your child's education, and especially college education. I was lucky enough to put 2 kids through college, and as I mentioned, one just got married. Proud dad moment. But I would put 2 kids through college, and I'm in this business, and I will tell you that whatever you're saving, save more, and we'll get into that as we continue on. But the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be. As you can see on this slide, if you look at a public 4-year in-state college, right? If you look at that purple portion, that's tuition. Tuition is manageable. I will tell you, tuition is manageable. It's all the phone calls you get between tuition. They're not going to live on campus every year, right? They're going to want to move into an apartment with their friends. Well, that exponentially raises that cost of housing. Then it's, Dad, I need this, Dad, I need this, Dad, I need this. Those happen. But what amazes me in this cost of $27,000, call it $28,000, are the books. Because that's, to me, one of the most amazing things. Now you look at it and you say it's $28,000 a year for tuition. I can tell you firsthand, it's probably, you have to plan for more. But you have to plan. Again, failing to plan, planning to fail. So where does it come from, right? If you look, the majority of paying for college comes from savings accounts. It comes from your own money. You can get grants, you can get scholarships. I'm not a FAFSA expert or a scholarship expert, but make sure your kids apply when it's time, right? So the majority of it comes from bank savings accounts, brokerage accounts that might be taxable, even IRAs. But if you have a 529 plan, it is the best funding method for college planning. Just quick show of hands, how many of you started 529s for your kids? Awesome. That's great. I did them for my kids when they were 5 and 3. Probably should have started earlier, but I had them and it helped exponentially with the cost of college. So why would we look at a 529 plan? Most of you understand why. We're going to go through some of the details right now. One are tax advantages. You know, many of us, the easiest way for me to explain a 529 and what the tax advantages are is it works somewhat like your IRA would work, right? With the exception of it's not going to reduce your taxable income, but all of what you earn in a 529 plan, which by the way could be put into any investment vehicle. The longer the time period, you can look at things like mutual funds. That's where I invested my kids' money, right? But you can also do savings accounts, bonds. I mean, pretty much anything. I'll leave out cryptocurrencies, but you can invest in almost any type of investment in a 529, which is the tax code for college savings. But it offers you, like your IRAs or your 401k, it grows tax deferred, which means there's not going to be a 1099 on that account. You're not going to pay taxes on any of that interest earned. And then the best part of it, and what you don't get in your IRA, is when it's time to take that money out, if it's used for and I believe here it says HEE or QHEE, qualified higher education expenses, that money is tax free. Now, what most people look at when they think about 529s is, well, great, but I have no control. Now, I'm going to do this, but what if my child just makes it big and doesn't go to college? Then I'm on the hook for this. But you're not, and I'll go into some of those reasons why. Right, but again, when we look at control, it doesn't necessarily have to be a university. It can be vocational training. It could even be kindergarten through 12th grade. Now there's limits to $10,000 on those withdrawals, but you're not limited to simply college education. Now granted, that's what we're saving it for. In most cases, that's what we want for our child, right? I didn't go away to college, but because I saved, I had my daughter in Santa Cruz and my son in San Diego, to have that true college experience. Cal State Northridge didn't do that for me. Right, and what are those expenses? Tuition and fees, books, room and board, computers, right? I need a computer. Well, we have one. Yeah, but Dad, that's not the latest Mac. I need the latest computer. I can't show up with your IBM thing, right? So you got to go out and get that $2,000 Mac because they got to look good, along with going to school. And I was able to use 529s for that as well, and certain services for special needs. Again, not control-wise, it doesn't only have to be college. Apprenticeship programs, elementary school, and even should they have to borrow money, student 529s can be used toward the repayment of student loans. And now this is the part I was talking about. What does it mean, right? I have a 529. Is it only me? Is it only me that can do it for my kids? No. Grandparents can do it. Aunts and uncles can do it, right? Anybody can open a 529. And the best part of it is, well, what if my child, like I said, what if they don't go to college? Well, let's say you have 2 kids or 3 kids, and you have 529 for each one. This child makes it big, doesn't go to college because they're making all kinds of money, right? And they're not going. You can transfer that 529 because you own it, and transfer it to the next child and utilize it for them. You can even open a 529 for a child that has yet to be born. I can open a 529 today. I wish my son was here to hear that I'm saving money for my grandchild that isn't here yet. But I can open a 529 today for my grandchild because I'm the owner of the account. And then once the child's born and has a social security number, I put that child on as the beneficiary of the 529. And if I ever want to change that, I can. But what if I need to use the money? What happens? Right? It's only going to be taxable if it's not for higher earnings. You can see some of that here. Now there's all kinds of things that we can do, and here's where it shows what happens if I use the money for something other than college education. It doesn't have a laser, huh?
No, sorry.
I can point. But you can see if you withdraw with a penalty, it's $20,000 and you take out $10,000, it's pro rata, right? So it's not going to be on the entire $20,000. It's only going to be on the $10,000 at a 24% ordinary income tax rate. $2,400 is taxable income. 10% of the $10,000, you wind up paying a $1,000 penalty, right? But again, if it's used for any of those that we talked about in terms of higher education, here you see it. It grows, and you take out the $10,000, there's no taxes being paid because it's used for higher education expenses. That's where the power of this truly happens. I had somebody tell me once, and I go, well, tell me what you feel about tax deferral. And she looked at me and she goes, well, Frank, you know what tax deferral is? When I get tax deferral and then I can withdraw tax-free, it's the money that would have gone to pay taxes gets to earn interest. I'm earning interest on my taxes. Oh, that's weird. I haven't heard it like that, but I like it. So gifting an estate, as you know, sometimes we want to gift, or grandparents want to gift money to a grandchild. You can do up to $17,000. That brings down the taxable income for the person that's making the gift, and it can be put into that 529 and grow, and it will not be taxable income to the beneficiary that's getting that. A lot of times we've had people that do 529s, and when it comes down to kids' birthdays, especially when they're little and they don't realize it, they don't miss the gift. It's like, hey, instead of a gift, just make a contribution to the 529 for birthdays and holidays and all of that. That money goes straight to the 529, and it's a great way to help boost that college education. And then, okay, Frank, great, 529, but we want financial aid. What's the impact? And you can see it here. Although it does impact financial aid, it has a very slight impact on the overall aspect of financial aid. You can see the income 50 for the students. If they're making over 7,600, it's 50%, and the assets, 20% of assets held in the student's name. Most students, and that would be something like a KUGMA or a student's own account, should they have that. For the parents, the assets is 0 to 5.64% of assets. So it's a very minimal amount that's used against financial aid. And that's, once again, I talk about it, but that's the importance of really having that plan in place and planning and putting that 529 into play. When we look, who does it? Who can be the owner? I mentioned already, anyone can own a 529 plan, right? It could be the parents, it could be the grandparents. Again, you get that tax deferral. There is legislation right now where, should that 529 not be used, the owner of the 529 can convert that to a Roth IRA. That's about 20 extra slides that I'm not going into tonight. But if you have questions about it, I strongly urge you visit one of our Connecta financial advisors, and they can help go into more details on that. And again, you maintain control as you own the 529. So you control it. And that's the most important part. Most people think I lose control of the funds, but I don't. More disclosures. I think I hit the mark.
You're good.
I want to open it up to questions, if anybody has any. But once again, I'm Frank Rayhout. I'm the Vice President of Wealth Management at Connecta. We have Connecta branches and financial advisors throughout the South Bay. Should you have additional questions, visit connectawealth.org, find your closest branch, find your financial advisor, tell them that you were at tonight's event and you saw Frank Rayhout. They'll give a little giggle first, you go, and then, and he talked about 529s. We do actually have a promotion running right now. I'll get to your question in 1 second, where we want to help jumpstart that college savings. So if you open a 529 plan today, depending on your balance in a year, if it's over 500 or over 1,000, we'll deposit $50 or $100 into your account to help your child get to that next level. Question?
When you open a 529 for a child, Does it necessarily have to be a relative of yours? Could it be someone else's child?
It doesn't have to be a relative. It can be someone else's child.
And is there any problem with the permission from that child's parents or that child? In other words, if you just.
If you did it and, you know, I mean, you might want to let them know about it, but if you didn't, that, you know, ultimately you're going to have to let them know because you're going to be writing a check to the university or, but it doesn't, you don't have to.
Okay.
As long as you know the social security number and the name of the child. Yes.
If you open a 529 at one bank, can you transfer it to a different bank at some later time?
Yeah, we can transfer. I say we, assuming you want to bring it to us at Connect. You can transfer it, and it could, depending on what the 529 is in at the time. More often than not, it's just an in-kind transfer. So effectively, you come to Connect, you open an account. We, depending again, if it's an investment, we'll do a transfer request, and it just stays exactly where it's at. But now it's at Connect.
Basically, just changes the service provider.
Exactly. That's all it does.
Just like,
It's a simple process.
like stocks.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. And again, the longer you have, I mean, this is, you know, I run wealth management, so finance is what I do every day, and I look at it every day. And, you know, when we look at investing, it's not timing. Everybody's like, I can't do it now. Look at where interest rates are and look at where the market's at. It's only going to keep going down. And it has nothing to do with that. It's time. And the longer you have, the better off you're going to be. That's the key. More questions? Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your engagement. Thank you so much. Jason, the opportunity to be here is awesome. I mean, you know, helping our youngest are what's most important. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Another round of applause for Frank and Connecta. No Hermosa event is complete without me seeing purple somewhere. So good job. I want to thank everyone for their attendance tonight. I want to thank you for those that are tuning in. That concludes our State of Schools for this evening. And Doug and I are going to stick around for questions for the rest of you. Have a good night.